All right, guys, we'll 30-second warning. We'll call this meeting to order. Thanks, everybody. 1:41, we'll call the meeting to order. I apologize right from the get-go. I know we're running 11 minutes behind. We just ran a little over in our previous meeting, so I appreciate your indulgence there. As I always do before we get into the formal agenda, just a few housekeeping matters. First and foremost, welcome to Chief Chung to your very first official board meeting here. So on behalf of the board, welcome. Great to have you. And Deputy Chief Bastien, thank you so much. Welcome to you as well. This will be your first board meeting in your capacity as Deputy Chief. So a big welcome to the two new members of our executive command. So it's great to, after having gone through this process, to have our full contingent in place there. So officially, before we start the board, welcome to both of you today. Thank you. On much less happier notes, I sadly have to start this board meeting with unfortunate news. The way that we have the last three board meetings, specifically OPP Detective Constable Steve Tarango, 35 years of age, died on May 29th after his unmarked police vehicle and a school bus collided in an intersection on Oxford Road near Insect. And so not just Constable Tarango, but a bus driver died as a result of the traffic accident, and the name wasn't released, and we don't obviously need to know the name, but what was incredibly tragic about the death was the fact that it was an accident in an intersection, and also that this represents the 11th police officer since September of 2022 to die in the line of duty. And so on behalf of the board, we extend our deepest sympathy and condolences to the Tarango family, the friends, colleagues, communities, as well as the bus driver who and their family and friends who died in this tragic incident. And I can let you know that Chief Chung attended the funeral on behalf of the London Police Service and expressed our condolences to the chief and the service there directly on our behalf. And so we appreciate you, Chief, for representing the service and the board in London at that service there. So yeah, if we could just take 30 seconds, moment of silence, just to respect the deceased. Thank you very much, everybody. Moving through the agenda here, are there any disclosures of interest on behalf of the board, conflicts that need to be declared? Seeing none. Do any of the board members have any new business that they want to introduce to the agenda? Seeing none. In your package, you have the minutes of the May 18, 2023 public board meeting. I assume everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at that. Are there any revisions, amendments that need to be made to the minutes? Thank you. Thank you. So that the board approves as presented the minutes of the May 18, 2023 public meeting, moved by Member Branscombe, seconded by Vice Chair Walker. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the minutes are carried there. Fifth agenda item, we have our annual use of force statistical report for 2022. I'm going to look over to Deputy Chief McIntyre for your report. Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Chair, through you. This report came to the board in February, and there was an error in the concluding paragraph. I attempted to correct this for the board last month, but it maybe wasn't clear. So out of an abundance of transparency, I've resubmitted the original report, comprehensive report, and again, just try to articulate the change in the concluding paragraph. And what that concluding paragraph, just in summary again, was trying to articulate, and it goes to show you a bit of just a gap in how we used to do that in a new way moving forward. But what it talked about is the number of incidents we use force when a citizen calls us versus when are we using force when the police have initiated that response. It was a percentage, it's been changed to arrange a range, if you will. The reason for that is we submit use of force reports, and there's two parts to those reports. When we do this, it's all manual, and those nine reports were lost kind of in transition. And so we're not able to accurately account for was that citizen initiated or police initiated. So we've included it there in a range. Moving forward, as you know, we have this year a brand new use of force report. The use of force report is electronic. It now moves in electronically to a complete dashboard that was built by our own BAU people who are in the room. So that we can drill down and filter and really look at what's going on there and have better tracking on that. So in short, and not to belabor this, but since it's the third time it's gone to the board, I just bring this again to your attention. The full report is before you. It will replace my recommendation, the previously submitted reports. That's 2345 and 2317. But I'm open to any questions you may have.
Sorry. Yep. Any questions? Vice Chair Walker, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Through you, I just wanted to thank you for doing that. I think it's so important that things be accurate for, again, the purpose of transparency. But also, I want you to know how much I appreciate that. I mean, that would have taken a lot of time to change all the stats, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't understand how that process works. But I definitely appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Walker. Any further questions for Deputy Chief McIntyre with regards to her report? Thank you. Seeing no questions, that's moved by Vice Chair Walker that the board receives for informational purposes the annual use of force statistical report for 2022 and discards the previously received memo of 23-17. Moved by Vice Chair Walker, seconded by Councillor Lehman. Anyone opposed to that? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you kindly. Deputy Chief Bastien, SIU report, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, this report pertains to an incident which took place October 24th, 2022. Just before 5 a.m., a London Police Service constable was working uniform patrol when they observed what they identified as a stolen minivan. The officer did not initiate a traffic stop, however, or instead notified the communications center of the vehicle's location, direction of travel, and other details. The officer followed the vehicle. Two other officers in the vicinity heard the call and were able to deploy a tire deflation device for the purpose of, in a controlled fashion, deflating the tires, making the vehicle more difficult to drive, and to slow it down is the main objective. The vehicle accelerated and traveled out of view of these officers and the officer in the cruiser. It continued south on Pond Mills Road. The officer did so as well. However, at this point, the vehicle was out of view. A few minutes later, at 4:55, the officer arrived in the area of Pond Mills Road and Commissioners Road East to discover that the stolen van had collided with another vehicle in the intersection. As a result of an injury to a civilian sustained during that collision, the Special Investigations Unit invoked its mandate to investigate the officer, one subject officer, the officer who initially saw the vehicle. In clearing the officer, the director concluded that the officer had been engaged in the lawful exercise of their duties and had operated or comported themselves with due care and regard for public safety throughout the engagement. Subsequent to that, our professional standards branch initiated an investigation pursuant to Section 32 of the Act, and ultimately concluded that there was no misconduct. The officer had adhered to procedures pertaining to police vehicle operation and pursuit procedure. Subject to any questions, that's the report with the recommendation the board receive it for information purposes only.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Board, any questions for Deputy Chief Bastien with regards to his report? Thank you very much. So I'll get a Vice Chair Walker. We'll move the following that the board receives for informational purposes the SIU report, moved by Vice Chair Walker, seconded by Member Branscombe. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you kindly. Deputy Chief Bastien, staying with you, we have the service complaint. If you could provide us a report on that.
Certainly, through the chair. This pertains to a service complaint referred to the chief by the Office of the Independent Police Review Director, which involved a complaint relating to an incident which first started on May 30th, 2021. The complainant's wallet was stolen from a vehicle parked in their driveway. The theft had been captured on a home monitoring system and reported to the LPS. The complainant was contacted by their financial institution the next day, who advised the complainant that the card had been used in a fraudulent transaction in the less than $50 at a convenience store in London. That amount was reimbursed by the bank to the credit card holder. The image of the suspect captured on the home monitoring system was shared internally within the LPS in an attempt to identify the suspect, and the complainant was notified, contrary to the alleged complaint, that the case would be closed unless there was the officer was able to identify the suspect. The second aspect of that same complaint was that the officer, or that we failed to secure video from the convenience store where the fraudulent transaction took place. That was found to be the case. However, with respect to the established practices used in the financial crime section, with respect to these investigations where a bank reimburses a victim of fraud, the banks, by and large, do not wish to proceed with any criminal charges, and likewise, there was no further action taken. There was a deficiency ultimately identified with respect to the possibility of identifying the suspect through that second video. However, there was the work performance issue did not rise to the level of misconduct, and there was no action taken by the chief. Subject to any questions, that's the report with the recommendation that the board receive it for information purposes only.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Bastine. Any questions for Deputy Chief Bastine with regards to the report? Okay, thanks. We need a mover. That'll go Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Councillor Lehman, that the board receives for informational purposes the service complaint report by Deputy Chief Bastine. So that's on the floor. Call the vote. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you. Deputy Chief McIntyre, 2022 London Police Service Annual Report. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, through you. So before you see a year at a glance, our annual report for 2022. And it is drafted in accordance with numerous aspects of legislation, of course, provincial adequacy standards, City of London protocol, which tells us kind of when do we have to submit our annual report and a copy of it to City Hall. And of course, London Police Service Board policies 60 and 61. The report looks at a high-level overview of the business plan, information relating to operating expenses, organizational structure, staffing levels, crime stats, response times, special initiatives, and more. There are several links within the annual report itself that will take you, when it goes live on our website, it's not working right this second, when it goes live on our website after approval by the board, it'll take you really to the public agenda and specific board reports that are submitted during each interval that are really comprehensive and have expanded data within each of those sections. But if you just, with your indulgence, I just want to take you through a couple aspects of the report just to highlight a few things. One of the biggest concerns, if I were to highlight in the annual report, really centers around capacity. The first one, largely, I'll take you to is on page 27, if you're following along, and it's on response times. What's interesting here is just the analysis on response times. We know we heard from the public that they're not happy with our response times. They continue to be high. Last March, we presented to the board an entire report on patrol enhancements, highlighting some of these gaps and the need to increase staffing levels. I just wanted to explain what 90th percentile means when you look at the stats. And of course, our team, who's largely creates this entire report, is in the room. But 90th percentile is like 9 out of 10 times. That's what our response time is going to be. We move away from averages, which have extreme highs and lows, and we move away from using median numbers because really you're only looking at half the data set. So 90% of the, or 9 out of 10 times, those are our response times. You see, I don't have to highlight them because they're not great, but you know, definitely 557% increase in non-emergent calls. So for the public, you're wondering like, what is happening there? And we know that we triage all of our calls for service. And when there is a priority call, our officers will clear to get to them. That's why that number can stay low. But oftentimes they're on urgent calls. And so you see there's a delay, those go back into the queue for another officer to attend. So we see then that trickle down effect of workload shifting down, and then our response times grow. That is directly related in part to capacity. But I just wanted to highlight that in case you were wondering if that was an error. It's not. I want to talk to you about volume of calls on the following page. It really speaks to the work. So in total, we have 348,000 and change calls that come into the police service. 702 of those are emergency calls, 911 calls that go out. Then of course we have 92,000 and change calls that are non-emergent. We continue to move the needle on how do we report calls, how do we respond to calls in the organization. So the triangle at the bottom speaks to that. Online reporting, telephone reporting, police reporting are just alternate ways to handle a call for service that frees up a member on the front line to be able to respond to emergencies. And then, lastly, I just want to take you to the business plan. So in the annual report, we are required to report on the status of the business plan. This is meant to be really just a high-level snapshot on where we are, a current pulse. The next annual report, of course, this business plan will have been completed. So the next annual report will have a comprehensive look at where are we for all of these objectives. As a reminder, we're going to talk about our new business plan coming forward, but this business plan spoke to 3 priorities: community safety, community well-being, and organizational capacity. And you see just a high level for each of those priorities, where are we? I just want to share with the public that this strategic plan, they are enormous to build. And the board knows this very well. So we start in 2017, 2018, really working with the community. Our members, consultations are held. It finally gets built and locked in 2019. But interestingly enough, we had, of course, a global pandemic, and many things impacted our ability to accomplish these. So at a quick glance, you may look at them and think, whoa, what is happening? We're nowhere close to completing them. And I can tell you very honestly that there are many that we may not complete, because we have to constantly evaluate, where are we? What are we doing? What are the needs of the community, our members? And we pivot accordingly. But this just gives you a snapshot, and we will and expect to see a comprehensive look into this, the next annual report, but also throughout the year, we plan to update the board and the public on where we're at with the business plan. So in summary, there's a lot of great work there. I just would like to close, and this applies to our strategic plan. The new strategic plan of the boards is just a thank you to our amazing team behind the scenes, corporate communications. We have, Katie Forbes, Sean Jacobson, Kathy, of course, is here with her team. Amazing work, getting this on the website, doing all the formatting, creating all of the pictures and organizing that. I don't know quite how we do it, but I was just told I wasn't allowed to touch the PDF. And then, of course, corporate services. And you see, of course, Joan and Dee, Karis and Gail are here with us. They are the team behind the scenes that do these numbers, pull our stats, verify our data for us, and spend endless hours teaching me on all the nuances of each of these. So I have to say thank you so much, and thanks for coming. But that is my report, just updating the board on the annual snapshot, a year at a glance. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Deputy Chief McIntyre. The last part sounded like you were at the Oscars. You're just trying to squeeze it. I just want to say thank you before the music starts playing and you move on there. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate everybody that had a role and a part to play in that. That's fantastic. Questions for Deputy Chief McIntyre? I see Councillor Stevenson, followed by Councillor Lehman.
Thank you for the report. I had a question on page 14, the numbers for internal task forces. I noticed large fluctuations in the numbers from 2021 to 2022, and I just wondered if there was anything you'd like to share.
Yes, thank you. Internal task force, largely, I can tell you in 2021, when you look at arrests, are you looking at those categories? We ran a significant project in 2021. It was the Crime Gun Task Force. So numerous firearm charges were laid. That was a lengthy project. It's reported on in a cost, I believe, throughout this report as well, if not the more comprehensive version that's linked. But that was a lengthy project that was run, which really amounted in a ton of those arrests and resulting criminal charges. We do work like that all of the time. We, of course, run similar projects ongoing throughout the calendar year, but that project specifically is a major deviation from 2021 to 2022.
Follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And then the subsequent to as well, criminal charges and provincial offense notices, those were up quite a bit in 2022.
And again, the same, thank you, Chair, through you, largely attributed to those projects that were run, very, very specific. It was a lengthy project, but the criminal charges with firearms, there are 1 million firearm charges that get laid when anytime there's one single offense. So multiple charges laid per incident per person. So that's what accounts for that big jump.
Good work. Thank you.
Councillor Lehman.
Thank you, Deputy Chief McIntyre. Just want to cycle back to the 2022 response times and 90th percentile. Specifically dispatch priority 2, which is described as urgent. Can you give me an example of what would be described as an urgent call?
Thank you, Chair, through you. So we all understand the lights and sirens, a priority call. Someone's in imminent danger, we go. So priority 2 could be an example, a sexual assault, and the subject, the offender, has left, but there's evidence to preserve at the scene. There's obviously that investigation requires immediate attendance at the scene to ensure victim safety and all of those pieces. Like that would be an example. When would that get bumped up to a priority 1 call? If the subject was still there in the apartment, in the room, etc. Another priority, I've just been assaulted with a weapon, but the subject has left. I've just been assaulted. My injuries are non-life threatening, but the subject has left. We would not drive across the city code 1 with lights and sirens knowing that there was an imminent danger or life threatening. Definitely it's a priority. It's serious. We have to investigate it, but we wouldn't send a car across the city, lights and sirens, to get to those. I break and enter to my home. I just got home. My house has been broken into. That's a priority call for us. But again, we wouldn't send someone across the city with lights and sirens unless the subject was still on the premise.
Follow-up,
Yeah,
Chair.
please go ahead.
And is this telling me that 90% of the time those calls are answered in 6 hours and 48 minutes or more?
9 out of 10 times, that would be our response. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what does that impact on apprehension of the criminal or a crime scene, et cetera? What is the impact of that?
There's enormous impact. So one, I can tell you a couple things happen when our response times are horrendous. When our officers get there, they spend the first 10, 15 minutes of the call de-escalating because the citizen complainant is outraged that that's our response. But when you look at it, it takes less time to do it once right. When we have officers that we can deploy right away on a call, we actually set up perimeters and catch the bad people with a higher success rate. When we miss that opportune window, then the time it takes us to complete those investigations goes up exponentially. It's more investigative, it's more canvassing, we're pulling video from everything. You can see that just the nature then of that investigation, the time spent on the call goes up exponentially. If we're there to deploy resources and have a quicker response time, we more than not are able to catch the offender and apprehend them in a much faster manner. And there, and investigatively, we don't lose evidence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions for Deputy Chief McIntyre? My only question, and I made a note about it, so I don't know where my note is. Just on that point, to Councillor Lehman, some of the pilot projects about virtual, reporting by members of the public. Is that something that is it too early to tell whether that's had a measurable impact, or is that something that can you shed some light on that for me?
Absolutely, Chair, through you. So we've done a bunch of things knowing that, okay, so we have a staffing, a capacity issue. What can we do differently?
Yep.
So one thing was a pilot that's gone on right now, which is victim choice reporting, that just gives another way for victims to report crime specific to domestic violence, specific to sexual assaults. That is showing a great success right now. And again, in its early stages, we're doing a lot of work organizationally to expand what can be reported online, to open up that framework to allow more to be reported online if it doesn't need an officer to attend. We're expanding that software as we speak, which we're excited about to just again increase capacity and really leave officers driving around in cars going to priority events. and just to help out. So I think, and oftentimes a member of the public just needs to be heard. They need something reported. But conversely, for us to understand the crime trends and what's going on in the city, we need those events reported. So it benefits us on both ends.
Thank you. Just one quick follow-up. Fully recognize as a pilot program, fully recognize that when the evidence comes in at the end, there'll be an assessment and to find out, the value or lack thereof of this. Do we have any indication, at least not just operationally, but from the members of the community, even anecdotally, whether it's been well received? Has it not been well received? Like, what's the sentiment that we're hearing?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, through you. So, our team that oversees this victim choice reporting just was down in Las Vegas teaching on the conference for evidence-based policing. And one of the major findings from their work is that satisfaction of the complainant, of the victim, that their ability to be able to get a link to their phone to right away pull up a screen, to see the officer in front of them, to not have marked cars at their house, the timeliness of that, the immediate wraparound support. And then, of course, again, my line of it, it takes less time to do it once, right? So we see less recants in the criminal courtroom. We see a greater follow through. We see a higher conviction rate of those cases. Now, did they take us less time? Not necessarily, but are they done right? 100%. And so definitely the feedback from the member of the public using that has been outstanding.
During COVID, when we had the FaceTime doctor's appointments, and I opened my mouth in front of the doctor, right? It was. Was it awkward?
Similar.
Yeah, it was awkward, right? But there was utility to it. So yeah, Councillor Stevenson, go ahead.
Through the chair, you mentioned something that I just wanted to follow up on when you mentioned that you need the information. And when we see the priority 3 non-urgent calls with a response time of 107 hours, I just wondered what you'd like the public to hear about that, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, I just won't call. But I just wondered what you'd like to say.
Thank you, Chair, through you. So we did hear that really loud and clear in the public needs survey to say to the members, okay, like if you needed the police, would you call us? And that went down. And I think largely it's because you're not going to come. Like we heard that time and time again. And so to just express really and highlight the need for everything to be reported. It might be trivial to you, but it's important to report that. And what does that do? So in a data world behind the scenes, we're looking and tracking at every time an occurrence occurs in the city, where is it occurring? And our analysts, our whole team of civilian analysts work behind the scene to watch that and to pick up trends. Right now, we funnel that information to the front line. And it's specifically, we look at crime patterns and it's geofence. So we map out areas in the city which we're directing our officers to be in, to be visible, because we know that it shows a drastic reduction in crime. So for the police to be able to work preventatively, even though it's annoying, even though we're delayed here right now, because we don't hope that this is our current state forever and ever, is to really report that and allow us to then watch those trends, work preventatively so there's not a reoccurrence. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. Before we move on, any last questions from the board with regards to Deputy Chief McIntyre's report? Okay, seeing none, I need a motion to accept for informational purposes the 2022 London Police Service Annual Report. Can I get a mover for that? Moved by Councillor Lehman, seconded by Councillor Stevenson. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. Deputy Chief McIntyre, we're going to stay with you. Now we're going to shift over to the 2024 to 2027 London Police Service Strat Plan. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, through you. So again, my same thanks goes out to the same people in this room, because they were buried with all of these things right on top of each other. I will just start off by saying I'm incredibly proud of this report. In full transparency to the public, our first draft didn't start off too well. And with the board's assistance, and we completely revised what this looks like, the content in it. I believe in my whole heart it is a better document. So I thank the board for that and for their input. Obviously, everyone knows in the public it is technically the board's strategic plan. We work in partnership with them to do that. So the work for this started last fall with community consultations and feedbacks and surveys from our members. And the feedback from the public, I can say, and the board, I'm sure will echo this, was amazing. And we look forward to continued collaboration and really refining what that looks like and how do we actually tap and reach all community members moving forward. But at the end of the day, we heard all of the feedback and we distilled it down into 3 brand new buckets that now represents the 24-27 strategic plan. And they are centered on our community, which is being safe and feeling safe, our people, so skilled and ready to meet tomorrow's needs, and then finally our work, service excellence and fiscal responsibilities. We demonstrated in this report are the big bullet points, we've affectionately referred to them now, is our big objectives that we plan to move, and our team behind the scenes is working on how do we implement this on an operational level. But I guess I'll just leave it there. Again, an enormous thank you to a CorpCom team and our corporate section for handling the bulk of all of this work, and for the board's assistance in refining it to the place you see it today. But I'm open to take any questions.
Thank you, Deputy Chief McIntyre. Questions for Deputy Chief McIntyre with regards to strat plan? I actually don't find the fact that we don't have questions surprising on this one. We, just for the benefit of the public, we spent a considerable amount of time. So any questions that we would have had, we would have asked many times over, right? So appreciate your work on this and that of your team, and some specific people in the back over there, that the work that they put into that. So thank you so much. With that, could I get a motion that the board approves the 2024 to 2027 strategic plan? Could I get a mover for that? Member Branscombe, seconded by Councillor Stevenson. Anyone opposed? Oh, okay, sorry, it's on the floor. Let's put it in. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, Mayor.
Sorry, I'm used to council where you put something on the floor before you try to
It's
talk to
actually
it.
that's actually the proper way. Yeah,
yeah,
but go
my,
ahead. Yeah.
my
I
bad.
got into a rhythm.
I just wanted to say, in conjunction with the two reports that we just had back to back, and we touched on the challenges with the response times. I think we've done a good job in our strategic plan of really capturing that and identifying the need to try to respond to that, the feelings of security, our lack of security and public safety. I think what we've done here is done a very careful analysis of like where things have come, where they've gone to, and then tried to lay out a vision to say, we've got to fix this over the next few years. And there's some things that have to be fixed very quickly, and there's others that are going to take some time. So, you know, a strategic plan is only as good as the actions you take from it. And I think what we have here through the discussion that the board have is a board and an administration committed to not just putting the strategic plan on paper, but actually following through with the actions to bring it to fruition in a meaningful way. And when you see it centered around the public safety, response times, the challenges that we've heard in their community, I think we have a good foundation here for the formation of our multi-year budget asks, as well as the way that the service is organized and the supports we give to the officers who are doing that frontline work. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, it must be an incredibly difficult job when not only do you have to feel what you feel for not being able to get there in the time that you used to, but when you get there, you probably deal with someone who's pretty upset with you. And that doesn't make the job of being an officer any easier. So the work that we do as a board to try to help with that situation, to try to take the actions to correct it, provide better service to the public, but at the same time support the officers who are providing that frontline service, I think is really important. So I just didn't want the strategic plan, because we've worked on it so much, to go by without, you know, reiterating what I heard through the process is the board's unwavering commitment to following through on the actions necessary to achieve what's written in this document.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other discussion on that? Yeah, Chief.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I just wanted to take this opportunity just to, first of all, thank the board for your engagement and your leadership on the strategic plan. And I also want to acknowledge the members of London Police Service in this room who worked behind the scenes, echoing Deputy Chief McIntyre's comments. And I personally want to acknowledge Deputy Chief McIntyre for her leadership for this past several months through the transition of retired Chief Steve Williams' retirement, and for her leadership with the organization and her deep involvement with the strategic plan. So I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge her and thank her on behalf of myself and everybody here. So thank you.
Thanks, Chief, and that's a sentiment obviously echoed by the board as well there. So we truly appreciate that. Any further discussion with regards to the report there? All right, seeing none, now I'll call for the motion to approve the 2024-2027 strategic plan. I don't remember who moved it. I think it was Nancy. Moved by Member Branscombe, seconded by Councillor Stevenson. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. Thank you. We're going to go to some committee reports, so specifically ARAP, Anti-Racism Advisory Panel, which I'll provide, and then we'll go to MHAP, which is the mental health one, right afterwards. So ARAP met on our last meeting was June 7th, which was that represents our last meeting until September. We all take a break during the summer, a break from meetings, not a break from the work, right? But so we won't meet again until September 6th. Chief Trung, I think on his 7th day on the job, his exact halfway point, joined ARAP, introduced himself to the committee, and provided some insight to the committee, and very appreciative of that, Chief, for you joining us on that day. Panel, our mayor was also there, who's a member of ARAP, provided an update to the committee based on the citizen appointment process, where we're at, next steps, anticipated timelines. I'll touch upon some of that in the chair's report there. So thank you to Mayor Morgan for doing that as well. And then just in terms of the substantive work that the committee will be doing, we're going to review our terms of reference at the next meeting in September. It's an annual, we'll do that. Usually we'll take a look at it every year or two, and maybe we keep it the same, maybe we revise it, but we're gonna have a good substantive debate and discussion about our terms of reference. So that's kind of the roadmap for ARAP for the next meeting, next coming months. And if the board has any questions about this particular committee, I'd be happy to answer them. All right, seeing none, let's go over to Mental Health and Addictions Advisory Panel, also known as MHAP, which a year and a half into this job, the police, you guys love your acronyms, right? So, but yeah, over to you, Member Branscombe.
I sat in as the chair, co-chair, vice chair is the co-chair of the MHAP committee, and she was able to be at the meeting, so they got stuck with me. It was on June the 7th, and the next meeting is on the 6th of September. We do a monthly, except during the summer. We also welcome the chief for a quick visit and saying hello to the panel, and they were all very excited to have you stop over. We also were repopulating the committee because the term had ended and some people had to move on. So we had publicly posted a call, and we were very pleasantly surprised that we had 33 excellent applications to fill the role, and it was quite a, I mean, we had, I can't even count the pages and pages of from the resumes, and it was a challenging decision to get the right fit. So really thank you to the public for their interest in this really important in this important committee. So we welcome to the panel Adam McInnes, Dave Trudell, Robert Templeton, Kirsten Foner, and Rachel Jenner. And we reappointed Chad Elliott, Dean Anderson, and Heather Bishop. And now Chad Elliott will be the co-chair with Vice Chair Megan Walker. You also have myself and Susan Stevenson from the board, Deputy Chief McIntyre, Constable Fraser McGuire from Coast, and Sergeant Amy Birch, Persons at Risk. And of course, we have our great support staff, Jennifer Foster and Melanie Coleman. So it's a very exciting time. We've got a full complement, a nice balance of professionals in the mental health field in the community, and also people with lived experience. So we're going to have both perspectives along with all the rest of the group. So we're quite excited about what we can do to advise the police service over the next number of years. So we're excited to kick off in September with a full complement and get to work. So that's my report, and thank you to everybody for their interest in this committee.
Thank you, Member Branscombe. Any questions for Member Branscombe or Vice Chair Walker with regards to MHAP and the report that was provided? Okay, seeing none, that's great. In terms of a chair verbal update, just really three quick things, and I don't know if I'm going to be maybe infringing on the administrator's report, but if we do, I apologize. So officially, like I said, welcome to Chief Trung, to Deputy Chief Bastine, first meeting. So that's fantastic, the first of many. Speaking of welcome to the Chief, June 26th will be the change of command, the official change of command ceremony that will be held. You know, members of the board, members of the service, certain members of the community, we come out, and it's kind of that, even though The chief officially started on the job on June 1st. It'll be kind of the ceremony, the change of command ceremony will take place on the 26th. So we're looking forward to that. Speaking of things we're looking forward to, would be the very next day. Council is meeting on the 27th to hopefully, as I look over to our city council reps here, the mayor and the councilors, bring us to a full contingent on the board. Since January of this year, we've been operating with 6 members of the board after our former chair resigned, and we've been doing the business of the board, working great. Actually, an incredible board, to be honest with you. But our full contingent is 7, and we're hopefully just before the summer officially kicks in, we'll get up to that full contingent. And so once that city council makes that decision, council, when I say council, legal council and I will swear in the new member, and then we'll be at our full complement of 7, which is actually a good time for the new member to come in, because we won't then have any meetings until September, right? So it's kind of an ease into that. Whereas I know I was sworn in on a Wednesday, and I had a package given to me by Jennifer that it's like, oh, congratulations, here you go. And I had to read and get ready for the next meeting that night. So it's a nice way to kind of ease. We'll say that was by design to our city council folks, right? So that represents the 3 main parts of my chair's update. The only other thing that I wanted to do is talk about the Citizens Academy and let you know that our very own Councillor Stevenson and Councillor Lehman and our legal counsel, Kathy Bruni from Siskins, were all part of the Citizens Academy. They were, what are you, students? I don't know what it would be, members of the Citizens Academy. I don't know what the official time. And graduates now. That's the word. That's the word. And I found out during the process, just to even bring it closer to home, my sister-in-law was also part of that same graduating class, right? So yeah, with that, Rima was part of that graduating class. So very close to home. Can I, Councillor Stevenson, can I kind of pass the mic to you to tell us about your experience and all the great things from the Citizens Academy?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd heard such great things about the Citizens Academy, but it was an absolute honor and privilege to be part of Class 41. And it turned out to be a family and friends, as it turned out to be family and friends of LPS. So it was really great to get to meet other people who work for LPS, who work for the city, and many people here on the board as well. So it just added an extra element for me anyway. And to every week see the passion in the police officers who shared with us their particular expertise in policing, it was extraordinary. And we learned a ton. A lot of people had really great questions. The 3 hours every Thursday night went by so quick. We were spellbound, most of us. I know there were certain nights, though, that I had a little trouble sleeping after. Major Crime and a few other ones that, I can speak in my own life. It's difficult to realize that some of the stuff we see in the movies is real. You know what I mean? Like in terms of crime and that kind of thing. So just came away with I already had huge gratitude for what the police did, but it's just like 100-fold now. And I was just really inspired too by the level of commitment and passion that each area had. And you could really feel it. It was palpable. And it was, like I said, an honor and a privilege to be part of that class and to get that deeper level of not even an understanding, but just a, I don't even know how to say it, but yeah, a deeper appreciation, but also just to experience the breadth of policing at a very upper level, to realize all the different areas, and even to see the interaction between officers in the fields and the level of respect. It just very impressed with what I saw, and huge gratitude for everybody who put that on.
Thank you, Councillor. And I wasn't part of this graduating class. One day I'll sign up for the Citizens Academy, right? But I do want to echo the sentiment that was just shared. We just heard from Councillor Stevenson about her experience there. We heard, I think, last board meeting from Councillor Lehman. He did a walk along downtown and described it as an eye-opening experience. A couple months back, I did a ride along with Staff Sergeant Yunin, and even in one day, like just not even one day, like 8 hours, the things that you see this, like, I don't think any of us, anybody around the board members here or even members of the public will have a fulsome appreciation for what the police do on a day-to-day basis, but we do get little glimpses, right? And whether it's Citizen Academy or a walk along or a ride along, we get these packages, we read through them, we read through the reports, we read through the data, but you'll never really experience that until you, and we're not even getting a fulsome experience, we're just getting little flashes of it, right? And so our unadulterated appreciation for everything that you guys do on a day-to-day basis. I did hear back in the day, maybe you guys can confirm it on this side, maybe I'm looking at you, Deputy Chief McIntyre. Is it true that back in the day, the Citizens Academy, you could actually shoot a gun? You shot.
Yeah.
You could shoot a
My
gun.
bullet went through the same hole twice. That's what they told me. And I was so excited. And then later, one of the officers said, I don't know where it went, but I actually believed it. And I was so proud of that. Anyway, that was a big joke.
And oddly, now they're not allowed to do that anymore.
Check the record. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool to do that. Yeah.
Did not get to do that, but we did get to see a taser fired, and that is something I will not forget.
Councillor Lehman, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Councillor Stevenson said. It was a tremendous experience. Great to see the different folks who attended. Those that were interested in police services, maybe it's potential career, auxiliary, friends and family of serving officers, people that work in the social services area that are out, have to work with police officers out in the streets, and just members of the public. And what I just want to emphasize, it's a Citizens Academy. So anyone in London can take this. And I strongly encourage those to do, if you have any interest in what, our men and women in our services are doing when they go by in their police car with the lights on, you can see that that's just a little tip of the iceberg of what's going on below the water. If you have any interest in serving in this great profession, terrific to attend this. You'll be inspired. Again, as Councillor Stevenson said, the men and women that presented our courses, wow, just over the top. I wanted to be a police officer. I don't have the skill set, believe me, but I encourage all that have any interest in the public to attend this. You won't regret it.
Councillor Lehman, yeah, and the one thing that I'll add, I won't belabor this point, but the thing that was eye-opening for me during my ride along was how one police interaction, right, if somebody got pulled over, resulted in, I counted just during my snapshot, my window was 11 officers that got involved, right, based on not 11 officers that attended at the scene, but something happened, and then it was like, officers at headquarters had to, and then other people that, right, and it was just like the members of the public, myself specifically, you see somebody get pulled over and you think, all right, it's one officer that's required to serve. Well, no, there's an entire under the iceberg, right, that you were just talking about. So it's very eye-opening there. So thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic there as a future grad of the Citizens United. So board, I don't know if there's any questions for me or Councillor Stevenson with regards to the chair's verbal update. If there are, now's the opportunity. Seeing none, could I get a motion to accept the chair's verbal report moved by member Branscombe, seconded by Councillor Lehman? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. All right, administrator verbal report, Ms. Foster.
Today's your lucky day. There was only one thing on it and you covered it all. Yay, you don't have to hear me speak.
We love to hear you speak. Okay, so that takes, so there.
It was just about the new member we're looking forward to receiving.
All right. Well, can I
in 2 weeks?
Can I give a little shout out to Ms. Foster, to Jen, to Mel, and to Sam, all the incredible work that you've done in preparing the change of command ceremony that's coming up. Right, it just the time, effort, and resources that you've put into planning. It's like, from what I understand, it's like planning a little wedding there, Chief. Right,
a coronation.
A coronation. There's no crown in the budget. Sorry. But no, I just want to just say thank you to you and your incredible team for everything that you've been doing and continue to do as we kind of get towards the June 26th there. So yeah, go ahead.
And if I can just add, some of the members are here, the incredible team that we are working with behind the scenes. Operational plan, extraordinaire. They're not here, but Rob Brown oversees the auxiliaries. Sergeant or Staff, sorry, Rob. Staff Sergeant Rob Brown
You
there.
want to demote him.
I
He's
know,
like a-
sorry. Can't keep track of all of you. Anyway, he's leads the auxiliary folks who are, you'll see, you know, the wonderful volunteers that give up their time to the police service, and some with 25, 30 years in the role, right, Rob? And he's helping me make sure that we've got it well staffed and, you know, impressive staff too. So, and then Dave Elliott is doing the operations, and Jeff Burke, who is, what's Jeff's title? Protocol officer. So organizing security, which is big for an event of this nature. We'll have some, you know, pretty high up players attending the event. I don't know yet. The premier is invited. All of the board, exactly. So we need lots of security for all of us. And the pipes and drums, the color guard. So they've been really great. Once we had our first meeting with them, a lot of my insecurities and stresses went away, because I just felt like, okay, we got it. Don't worry. So anyway, just want to shout out to the behind the scenes. We're sort of the contractors, general contractors, and it's such a great
They're the
team.
ones that
So
get the
really
teamwork.
appreciate it.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as my kid
Yes.
says, right? So yeah, but yeah. Councillor Stevenson.
Thank you. And through the chair, I just was remiss in saying that one of the other things that came out of the Citizens Academy was a whole new level of appreciation for the auxiliaries too.
Yeah.
So they were there every week serving and for the graduation, and to hear the details of the level of commitment and training and contribution that they provide was truly amazing as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Councillor Stevenson. Okay, so technically no administrator's report means no motion to pass there, which is good. One less thing there. We had no new business today, so unless I'm missing anything, the next board meeting is Thursday, September 21, in light of the fact that we break for the summer. That's not to suggest, as I said, that we're not working throughout the summer, which we are. Trust me, we are. But in terms of the public board meetings, September 21st, 2023, you can put it in your calendars. And with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. I feel like we got to go, Councillor Stevenson, seconded by Member Brant's going, no, Steve, we got to, there's a theme today. There's a theme today, right? So, yeah.
You never share.
Yeah, never, yeah. Seeing anyone opposed, seeing none, that's carried. Thank you to everybody for today. Yeah, have a great summer. Thank you.